Today is Friday, November 10th. What to know about a new plan for daily pauses in fighting in Gaza and efforts to provide much-needed aid. Also, the highly anticipated meeting that's bringing President Biden face-to-face with one of America's biggest adversaries. And how one U.S. senator's decision not to run for re-election could shift the balance of power in the nation's capital. Plus, a first for carbon removal technology in the U.S. What 2 holidays will be happening this weekend, and why a well-known sex therapist will be working for the state of New York. Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. There may have been a diplomatic breakthrough in the Middle East. The White House announced Israel agreed to start putting the fighting in Gaza on hold for 4 hours each day to help civilians evacuate or just go outside without fear of danger. American officials say these pauses should also help more humanitarian aid come in from Egypt. And there's some hope this could even be a step toward freeing at least some of the more than 200 hostages who were taken from Israel October 7th. Each day, the pause will be in a different area, and it will only be announced 3 hours beforehand. But outside of those times and places, the war is still escalating. There have been airstrikes almost nonstop, along with intense street battles. Israel's military is also using explosives to destroy Hamas tunnels. And the Israeli government says all these efforts have worked to take out dozens of terrorists, and that they've also seized weapons and intelligence. But as you know, it's not just the terrorists that are being impacted. Altogether, Palestinian officials say nearly 11,000 people have died in this fighting, and about 40% of them have been children. And one Biden administration official told Congress yesterday the death toll might even be higher. In France, about 80 countries and organizations are meeting to coordinate humanitarian aid to Gaza and find ways to help more civilians escape. President Biden is hoping to mend ties with another world leader soon. Starting today, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Meeting, aka APEC, is happening in San Francisco. During the meeting, Biden is expected to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping for just their second in-person meeting in nearly 3 years. Many international policy experts say that face-to-face between the leaders of the world's 2 largest economies will overshadow anything else that happens at APEC. But there will be quite a bit up for discussion, including climate change, trade competition, anti-corruption initiatives, and new technology like artificial intelligence. National security will also be high on the agenda, since the U.S. is working to counter China's growing military influence. The goal of the whole summit is to brainstorm policy ideas and encourage investment and trade to flow around the world. It kicks off today and lasts for the next week. One politician made an announcement that's expected to switch the control of the U.S. Senate back to Republicans. Moderate Democratic Senator Joe Manchin announced he's not going to be seeking re-election in 2024. Democrats have said for the past year that Manchin is the only member of their party to have a shot at winning the deep red state of West Virginia. So now that he's out, it's widely believed that a Republican will take his spot in Washington, likely West Virginia Governor Jim Justice. And since the Senate is nearly evenly split already, this is likely to shift the balance of power. In fact, some Republicans have already put out statements of celebration. But many Democrats say there are other states that could flip from red to blue in 2024, so their majority isn't out the window just yet. As for Manchin, he's not exactly planning on a relaxing retirement. The senator says he's going to be traveling around the country to see if there's any interest in a, quote, movement to mobilize the middle and bring Americans together. And some political analysts took that to mean he's considering running for president. Stay tuned. Public officials in several states got a scare this week. More than a dozen suspicious letters were received in Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, Georgia, and Texas with white powder inside. Field tests confirmed some of them contained the powerful opioid fentanyl. One turned out to be baking soda, and others are still being lab tested. Thankfully, no sicknesses or injuries have been reported. Most of the letters appear to have targeted election offices, and at least some included messages like "End elections now," along with symbols like a pentagram and some specific threats. At this point, law enforcement are treating all the letters as connected, but say it's too soon to know where they came from or who may be responsible. The FBI and U.S. Postal Inspection Service are now investigating. It's said to be the first commercial carbon removal facility in the U.S. Climate tech company Heirloom Carbon Technologies opened a plant near San Francisco that is apparently capable of removing 1,000 tons of carbon dioxide a year. It essentially grabs carbon from the air and permanently traps it in tanks. though future projects may put it in concrete or send it into the ground in storage wells. Experts are calling this new facility a small but still notable milestone, since it's the first. But later, even bigger carbon-removing plants are set to come online in Texas and Louisiana. And the federal government is investing in this type of technology, too. The Energy Department recently announced the first wave of projects to get a few $1 billion in funding. Supporters say this is an important and necessary step toward the goal of fighting climate change and reaching net zero by 2050. But critics worry the technology will give oil producers an excuse to keep pumping crude. There are also some people voicing concerns about safety of the tech for nearby communities. At this point, the technology is not cheap, so it's still up in the air whether Heirloom and others can one day operate it as a reasonable price. To be continued. We have much more news for you coming up, but first, this episode is brought to you by Uncommon Goods. I know you are someone who values your time and appreciates high quality mixed with efficiency, like the newsworthy. So that's why I know you'll love Uncommon Goods for your holiday shopping. Uncommon Goods scours the globe for you to find the most remarkable and truly unique gifts for everyone on your list. So you can save time and energy and just go to this one place to get so many great products. From art and jewelry to kitchen, home, and bar, Uncommon Goods has such a variety of items that all somehow feel fun, unique, and personal. Not the same lackluster gifts you could find just anywhere. And when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses too. And I love that with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date. So go get 15% off your next gift by going to uncommongoods.com/newsworthy. That's uncommongoods.com/newsworthy for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Now back to the news. Veterans Day is tomorrow. The annual holiday is meant to thank and honor those who have served in the U.S. military. There will be parades, ceremonies, and other special events in communities across the country to celebrate the big day. Though note, because it's over the weekend, most federal and local government offices will be observing it today and may be closed. Some schools may also be closed today, and there will be some closures tomorrow, like the Postal Service won't be delivering mail. But most stores and restaurants will stay open, and some are even welcoming and thanking veterans and active duty service members with free food or discounts. Places like Applebee's, Chili's, Dave & Buster's, Denny's, California Pizza Kitchen, and many more are giving military and veterans a free meal tomorrow. IHOP is cooking them free red, white, and blueberry pancakes, and places like Starbucks and Peet's Coffee are brewing free small coffees, just to name a few of the deals out there. To any service members, veterans, or military family members listening, thank you for your service. It's almost time to celebrate Diwali. It's a religious holiday that's actually celebrated by multiple faiths like Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, and Buddhists, each one incorporating their own cultural traditions. All in all, it's celebrated by more than 4 million people here in the U.S. and more than 1 billion around the world. It's India's biggest and most important holiday of the year. Celebrations happen over 5 days, with each day holding a different significance. And they all start on Sunday. People will often line candles and lamps throughout their homes and along their driveways. They might also buy colorful new clothes or make sweet treats. Prominent feminist website Jezebel is shutting down. Its parent company, Geo Media, says it's been dealing with tough economic conditions and cuts to digital advertising and couldn't find a buyer. It's just the latest sign of struggle in the media industry. Vice also announced cuts to its news team yesterday, adding to a series of layoffs in the industry this year. Earlier this year, BuzzFeed News shut down. So the union that represented Jezebel writers said it was, quote, devastated, though hardly surprised by the closure. Jezebel has been around for 16 years, focusing mostly on feminist commentary, often with quirky story angles. A representative with Geo Media told the New York Post it might still find a way to bring back Jezebel fully in the future. Women's soccer is about to reach even more American households now that the National Women's Soccer League has reached a record-breaking deal. The broadcast rights sold for $240 million over 4 years, which is 40 times the size of the league's current contract. The new package includes about 60% of games for the 2024 season and spans CBS Sports, ESPN, Amazon's Prime Video, and Scripps Sports. Reports say this windfall could help make the Women's Soccer League more competitive by boosting American players' salaries and attracting more top talent from overseas. And that could be key, since 2 women's American soccer icons are retiring. Megan Rapinoe and Ali Krieger are playing their last game on Saturday, the championship final. One of the most trusted experts on sex and relationships now has a new mission: Dr. Ruth is best known for being a longtime famous sex therapist and talk show host. But yesterday, New York's Governor Kathy Hochul appointed her to a new role as the nation's first loneliness ambassador. Dr. Ruth actually pitched the idea herself. And now she'll be counseling New Yorkers on addressing their loneliness and isolation, which Governor Hochul said might be just what the doctor ordered. Hochul cited research that found loneliness is associated with multiple physical and mental health issues, and it's a problem that's becoming more widespread. In fact, Dr. Ruth says the loneliness epidemic has impacted her too, and she's ready to do something about it. So with that, Dr. Ruth has a brand new career at 95 years old. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. It is almost that time of year where it's easy to get off track from our typical habits that keep us feeling our best. But in my experience, having an easy, healthy habit first thing in the morning goes a long way. AG1 really makes me feel like I'm setting my body up for success for the whole day. I drink AG1 in the morning before I eat anything else. It's hydrating and nourishing. Since I've been drinking AG1, I've noticed improved digestion and even support for mental clarity. So just one scoop mixed with water gives me the comprehensive foundation nutrition I need with 75 high-quality vitamins, probiotics, and whole food-sourced ingredients. And each one of those servings costs less than $3 a day, which is not a lot when you compare it to taking a bunch of individual supplements that can really add up. So if you're looking for a simpler, effective investment for your health, try AG1. And you can get 5 free AG1 travel packs and a free 1-year supply of vitamin D with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/newsworthy. That's drinkag1.com/newsworthy. Check it out. Okay, now back to Feel Good Friday. Today, we are talking about one family's silly house rule that has now gone viral. It all started when Taylor Swift's Eras tour kicked off. Like so many Swifties out there, Dana Rice started to become fascinated with the pop star. And now, even she will tell you her admiration for Swift has exploded. But her husband, Dan, doesn't seem to share that same level of enthusiasm. So he created what he calls a Taylor Swift jar with a note that says, quote, "Any mention of T-Swift and you owe 25 cents, I can't take it anymore." Then he added a note on the bottom that says, "Travis Kelce included." Yeah, the Swift and Kelce romance has really been a hot topic of conversation in the Rice household. Dana says the whole idea of a Taylor Swift jar really encompasses her husband's humor. And now she's all in. The jar is quickly filling up with quarters, and Dana says she'll be using them for Taylor Swift tickets. The idea might catch on, too, since Dana's Instagram post about the jar now has nearly 500,000 likes. By the way, this weekend's special edition Saturday episode here on The Newsworthy is all about Swiftie mania. Yes, we are talking about why are people so obsessed and how it could actually be bringing some Americans together. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with that Taylor Swift-themed episode. And of course, we'll be back on Monday with your next news roundup. For now, thank you so much for listening and have a great weekend.